The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Aaronworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackass. It's the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass.
We're three lifelong fans of the show, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, and broken bones.
We're back to Jackass the TV show. It's been a while,
baby.
folks.
Oh,
and
shit.
yeah, for this one, we have to go all the way back to June 24th of the year 2001.
Ooh.
Hit me,
Yeah.
baby. What do you got?
You know what is one of those fuck all happened days? So I kind of had to kind of tweak the fact a little bit.
Chris, it's been a while. You got to tell them why you're talking about the date.
What do you
What's
mean?
your shtick? What's your shtick?
Yeah,
Fact of
what's
the
your-
day.
Well, every episode. It hasn't been a while because I do the fun fact of the day for any episode that we do.
Yeah, but they're just never fun. I think that's the problem.
They're always fun, and you know it. Remember that one time when I didn't have one,
Yeah.
how disappointed Jay was? If that doesn't signify the fun, it's clearly
New
the case.
season, new beginnings. Come on,
Fair
get
enough.
to it, boy. Let's go.
But yeah, so it wasn't, obviously this boxer wasn't born on this day, but his birth date is June 24th, and it's one of probably my favorite old school boxers. Anyone want to take a guess?
Your favorite old Jack Dempsey.
That's exactly what it was. Wow.
There you go.
I guess when you do know me, we are brothers, so it wasn't too much out of left field. One of the greatest boxers ever. You know Mike Tyson, that was his favorite boxer, right?
Oh, I can imagine that. I can imagine that.
I don't
Also,
know anything
Hanses-
about boxing, so I would have said Clubber Lang. That would have been my...
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good reference,
Clever.
too.
You know how I know, Jay, that you don't know
What?
much about boxing and potentially MMA is because, first of all, we did the Jackass Forever, the movie review last week. So I know we got a ton of new listeners based on that. If you're new to the podcast, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. This is back to our kind of regular structure. But last week, when we talked about Jackass Forever, there's the scene where Aaron McGahee is reliving the cup test, and Francis Ngannou comes to test the cup by giving him an uppercut to the crotch. And Jay, you kept just saying the MMA fighter, like that, like he's like
Yeah, you know that
the
guy.
biggest name MMA right now. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess Jay doesn't know who this guy is, but like if you know who he is, it's that much more of a big deal because he's the hardest puncher in the world, like literally on record as the hardest puncher in the world right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know a couple boxers other than Clubber Lang.
If it's not Cowboys or
fucking,
Golf Cowboys, Jay, I'm sure you don't really have too much knowledge about it. Let's be honest.
Balrog.
Balrog's a good one.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
So video
Balrog,
game boxers.
obviously from
Jackass
Street
Season
Fighter.
1, Episode 3, boys. Jackass
Let's do it.
is back in session. This is
Sorry,
the final
Jay, season
of the
1,
show.
episode 3. I think you mean season 3, episode 1.
No, I don't. We're going back to the beginning. We're doing the fucking repackaging, re-release, remastered bullshit. We're going to do episode 1, season 1 all over again and pretend it's like, no, you're right. I'm just fucking full of shit.
For
Yeah,
the
it
new
is season
listeners
3.
out
Listen.
there, I just want to just do what we've done because you might not have heard how we actually do our episodes. Is we go through, we pick a few of the top stunts, we walk through the episode, and we give the top ones a ranking, and we go back and we look at all these different things, break them down a little bit, so you'll get a good gauge of what our traditional episodes actually are like. And yeah.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, like the reason the reason I'm excited anyway is because as soon as I saw this fucking intro hit, boys, I was just pretty stoked hearing that theme music again. I would even say that more so than when I was in the movie for the new movie, just something about the very DIY, grassroots, dirty production of this show just kind of took me back, put me in a good place. But before we get that credit sequence, we do get Bam Margera kind of walking down a hallway here. He's going to meet somebody. He says, hey, if we put Puffy's face on camera, is that all right? Sounds like they're going to get a celebrity cameo for the first
hell
ever
yeah.
Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. And it is none other than...
P. Diddy,
Well,
baby. Or at that time, he was probably still Puff Daddy, or
gonna
maybe
say.
just Diddy. I'm not too sure. He's changed his name quite a few times. But guys, we finally get to see these guys getting worldwide recognition. Like, not only is it
Sure.
like you could tell they were scared. Like, are we able to put him on there? And
Yeah.
he's like, fuck you guys. I want to be part of this. Can I hit you? Like, they're finally getting this recognition and they're starting to blow up. And hopefully this season we get to see the rewards of, becoming a little bit more household names.
Well, it's funny because they're
Totally.
definitely leaning into that with the start of it. But like, we got to keep in mind, we're going back in time. This is 2001. Jackass 2 didn't come out until 2006. Jackass 1 wasn't 2002. So like, they definitely didn't know how big of a celebrity they were going to be at this time. And you can tell, like, Preston Lacey and Bam Margera are fanboying out over P. Diddy. And I've always said this about Bam Margera, is when he's in the spotlight with someone, he doesn't like sharing. He wants to be the center of attention. And you can see there's a moment when Diddy slaps him before he says, "Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass." After he hits him, Bam looks at him like, "Oh, I didn't actually like that. Like, fuck you." Like, he looks upset. Like, he doesn't want to be the second to anybody, regardless of whether it's Diddy or not.
Yeah, well, Preston was honored to take it because Preston was there with him. He's like, "Yeah, I'd love to take a slap." And then he just
please spit in my mouth. Mr. Diddy, will you fuck my wife, please?
Step on my balls, baby. I think that this was a good intro for them to use in the start of the season because it's showing that they're getting somewhere. But I can't help but notice that these guys are a little starstruck, which just takes you back to it's a little humbling because you're like, oh yeah, these guys weren't really like, they were big, but they weren't huge yet, because you know, you could see Bam hanging out with someone like this years from the time of this episode and it would be no big deal for him. But like in this scenario, you can see they're a little starstruck.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny. Like they're still boys here. They haven't become the Jackass men we've come to know and love. And it was just interesting to see that, you know, that at one point they were in a different frame of mind, I suppose.
Yeah, not even just 1 point. They're already 3 seasons in. And like Mikey was mentioning before, the fact that they didn't, you know, Jackass 1, you said didn't even come out at this time?
Jackass 1 didn't come out until the following year.
Yeah, exactly. So that's crazy. It's really cool.
Yeah, so I think in this season, we are going to see them starting to really grow and I hope take on bigger and better stunts, because overall, this episode to me felt like they're returning from summer vacation, but they kind of forgot, you know, they forgot how to tie their shoes or something. They're like not really quite in their element here.
It felt like the first day back from school, in the sense that everyone kind of thought, like, the first week back, everyone like doesn't really try very hard. They're like, we'll ease our way into it. And there definitely was that vibe in this one for some of the stunts, at least.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, they get off to a good start here with the Abe Lincoln Beard of Leeches. This is Johnny Knoxville. He's ready to go. I mean, I'm not an American, so I guess here goes a Canadian trying to represent the USA via commentary on a podcast. But they're just like putting leeches in his eyes and shit and on his mouth. And Johnny's trying to read the Declaration of Independence or some other important American document that I do not recognize.
No, I think it's Lincoln's address is what he's reading. Fittingly, obviously.
I think the Declaration of Independence will work.
Okay.
to me, like this is definitely one of the more visually iconic Jackass moments. Like when you think of Jackass, this is one of those ones that stands the test of time. Maybe it's because it's in a lot of the credits, it's in like the rolling of the the intros and things like that. But as much as like there isn't too much to it, it's always been one of those standout moments. Whenever I think of Jackass, this is one of those things that pop into my head. And let's be honest, leeches are sketchy as fuck. The sketchiest
why
animals
does our
ever.
world have them? Why do we need these things? They suck. They're just the worst. Why are there just these lifeless, black, slimy things that, you know what this reminds me of? It's like in the episode of WildBoyz when they had those little river eels that were like from the depths. Like they spoke in whispers. Like leeches would also speak in whispers. That's the only thing they would say. They'd be giving Lincoln's speech, but they'd be whispering it to Johnny. Yeah. It's funny, though, like you mentioned, Chris, how iconic this one is. And it is. But there are a ton of sketches like this in Jackass where my memory of them builds them up to be better than they actually were. Like, I didn't really love watching this one, especially for the first, 75% of it. It's awkward. The leeches won't stick. The people in the background are, doing fake awkward laughing the whole time. Like, they're not really finding it funny, and it's not until Johnny really grabs the bull by the horns and actually kind of turns the tide of this one, which we'll get into in a little bit, that it actually becomes a good sketch. And
we've also seen this sketch to nth degree, the leech on the eyeball, which Steve-O goes and does that later on. In the moment, though, it's hard to kind of take it back, and like everyone noticed in the movie, there's so many things that they worked on that they've adapted and made better over time. So a lot of those things we've already seen. So when we come back to review these things, it's kind of hard to separate that from the moment what we thought when we were originally seeing these things.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
If we are a little harsh on some of these things here, it's just because we've seen the more intense versions of them later on.
Yeah. The refined ones.
Yes. I prefer intense, but like when I'm camping.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I agree with you though. Not the fucking camping. I'm just gonna ignore you that you said that. But I agree with you that going back is always fucking difficult because it is, they do ramp up. But I think one of my favorite parts of this sketch in particular is when Johnny Knoxville forgets his line. He's reading. He's saying to liberate, and then someone whispers at him, penetrate. He's like, yeah, penetrate. And it's not too long after this where he decides, I got to take this to the next level, as Mikey noted. Maybe it wasn't quite there yet, so he puts a huge ball of leeches. Just like you got a big piece of tobacco chew that someone's already kind of chewed on for you to get it nice and soft and tenderized. And you just take that sucker and he just gulps the whole thing in and shoots it out like a fountain of leeches. Beautiful.
It's disgusting.
A hairball of leeches, actually, Jay.
That's what he says. Yeah.
I love, that's the one thing about it. Johnny could save this stuff because, there really wasn't much, but I love when he says something and he finds it so funny. He doesn't care what other people do. Like when he says a hairball of leeches, that typical Johnny Knoxville laugh just can't come through. And it kind of just, it made the sketch for me, that part of it.
Yeah, I like that. Well, speaking of making the sketch, you guys want to give this one a rating out of 10? So obviously, as you mentioned, Chris, earlier, and good on you, we rate and review most of the major sketches in each of these episodes. The other ones we kind of touch on, especially the interstitials. But we'll start off with a rating out of 10 for this one. I'll lead us off just to kind of break the ice on it. I think that this one is good because of one single moment, and I think it sort of punches above its or below its weight based on the weight we've given to it. I didn't really enjoy watching it. I felt kind of awkward the whole time. It has a good moment in the end. It would be a lot lower without it. I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be going a little bit lower. There wasn't much to it. I give it points for that iconic photograph that we've seen before and the creativity of thinking about. We didn't touch on that too much. A beard of leeches. That's actually a very funny concept if it ended up panning out properly. And there's just my actual fear of leeches definitely bumps it up, but I'm going to 6 out of 10. And Mikey, you meant a 6.9 out of 10.
I meant a 6.9. I already fucked up. I've obviously, for the new listener, every time we give it a 6.5, there is no such thing. We have to bump it up to a 6.9. Jay, what do you think?
I think that where I grew up, they had a really shitty lake that had leeches in it, and they would take us there for gym class. Do leeches only live in shitty
lakes, by the way? I feel like that's a thing. They only live in the shittiest of lakes.
Yeah, probably the shittiest of lakes. Okay. I think that's, you're onto something there. But they would take us to this fucking lake, and for gym class, you would go out, they'd send canoes out there, because they had a bunch of canoes, and you'd go and learn how to kayak.
Where did you live?
And all this shit.
Your gym class gave you canoes?
Yeah, I know, weird, right? It's weird.
I mean, I'm kind of jealous, to be honest, but fuck. Talk about the boonies.
They would just fucking send teenagers out into the middle of this fucking leech-infested waters in a canoe. I don't even think we had enough life jackets. I just fucking send you out there. It was a blast.
What was their school budget? Were they just trying to get rid of some kids?
I think so, yeah. They were hoping they would just be engulfed.
The leeches get so excited when it's like the girls hit around 13, 14 years old. Imagine how happy they'd be with periods.
All right, we know where this is going. Yeah. Wait, what was I doing? Was I trying to rate a sketch? I don't really like this one. I'm just gonna give it a 3. It was kind of boring, but
I can't hate on that, Jay. I can't hate on that at all.
Fat Fucks Part 2. Yeah, the boys are back in their fat suits. Brandon and Bam. And they're in a hotel room just jumping around on the beds in their fat suits. And this looks like a fucking blast. I would love to do this. The drop kick was my favorite part, where Brandon drop kicked Bam. And not too long after that, they kick a hole in the drywall. And all I was thinking was that somebody's credit card is getting charged as this is happening, because that was a pretty decent size hole.
Here's my concern. Here's my concern about this. And this is I can't square the circle. I don't understand this. First of all, we've seen this hotel before. We've seen it in past episodes of Jackass, especially once they get to the treadmill. We've been in that room before. But this is season 3 of Jackass. At this point, they're on MTV. They do have a budget. What are they doing in this hotel? It's a fucking shithole. Why isn't their budget going to staying in a nicer place?
Yeah. Is that the one we've always been seeing? Because you might be confusing it with the one that Chris and I shot our sex tape in.
Hand jobs with Chris.
Oh, yeah,
right. Someone won the other week. I think that, first of all, there's a very good chance that this was just still footage they didn't use from the first time they filmed this. You know what I mean? Like they might have the outfits look the same, and I think they're just trying to find fillers, and they go through and they resegment things. But the two most interesting things about this for me was, number one, fuck, seeing this makes me realize how much we were missing something with Bam in the movie.
I know.
He just adds that extra character. But here's the other thing. A lot of people reached out to us because we were talking about how Bam wasn't in the movie. So shout outs to all of our like listeners and everybody let us know. Bam was actually in the movie in the treadmill segment. And they just didn't really show it was him, but he actually was in there, which is very ironic about this because in the Fat Fucks, he did a treadmill segment in that as well. So that was a cool little tidbit that I picked up on.
True. Yeah, that was nice to have our listeners clue us into that because I totally missed that as well.
Yes. Yeah, we love hearing from you guys too at Jackass Pod on Instagram and Twitter if you want to say something nice or something nasty. I don't care.
Speaking of saying something nasty, do you think nowadays we could get away with calling them fat fucks? I think we'd have to call them thick kings, thick with 2 C's. I think that's what this stunt would have to be called today. We wouldn't be able to get away with it.
I hate the world these days. I hate it, man. Fat fucks, it just has such a good ring to it.
They hit the gym, they go on the treadmill, Stairmasters, and more. And they get this one shot of them like hanging over a balcony and the camera's kind of like cutting off the bottom of the frame. So I'm just thinking, I guess they're just ending it right here. I think the segment was so bad that they just decided to jump off the balcony. And no, they're on the first floor, of course. Listen, this whole segment for me was fun to see, but I feel like if you guys are right and they were just snipping things from the cutting room floor and using it, it kind of felt like that a little bit. So pretty forgettable in the grand scheme of the episode.
Let's skip a review on this one, I think, because it just feels like stuff we've seen before.
Oh, yeah, totally. I was going to say, though, and Chris pointed this out, that the song they used here was probably the best part of the sketch.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. As is often the case in Jackass, yeah.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, this next one is a quick little cut to Wee Man showing off his wee hand. And that's it. I guess he just wanted to say, I'm Wee Man, and this is a wee hand.
It feels very much like a Dave Englund sketch, like the door stopper from the first season.
100% one of those. You just kind of, it happens so fast, it leaves you thinking, what did I just watch? What was that?
Yeah, I must have missed something kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like MTV was like, you guys are about 5 seconds short on the runtime. Okay, just fucking throw this in. Up next, though, is the woodchipper with professional woodchipper operator. It says that in the fucking title.
Right.
Brian Peterson. And in my notes, I had 200 HP next to Brian's name. Now, I'm not sure if that's that Brian has 200 hit points or if the woodchipper is 200 horsepower.
200 horsepower? Yeah.
We'll never know. But Ryan Dunn is here, and he's about to get nice and messy. He's got a jug of strawberry milk. I'm just thinking, who put this in here?
I hate strawberry milk.
I know you guys do. It's almost like it was just there as a little bit of a fuck you. But listen, Dunn stands at the output of this thing, this wood chipper, and various food items are going to go in the big hole. Basically, the idea is he's going to get all the blowback and just see what, I guess, hurts the most or sticks the best. I'm not really quite sure what they were going for, but that's the sketch.
Yeah, it was, I think another one, it's like the premise. They probably watched Fargo or something like that, and they saw like the blood shoot out of the wood chipper from a body going into it, and they're like, oh, what if someone were standing on the other side of it? And then like, it feels like a very Bam Margera idea, and I'm sure he has tons of these where he thinks of a concept, but then in practice, it doesn't really play out that well. Not too dissimilar to the Beard of Leeches, to be honest. Like, I think they probably pictured a full Beard of Leeches and Johnny standing there, and it just didn't work. This one kind of felt the same way, and you could tell they were trying to amp it up by doing things like, like Bam eventually throwing his shoe in there, figuring out that some things hurt Ryan on the output, and sneaking like frozen turkeys and shit in there. That was kind of funny.
The frozen turkey was good, yeah.
Well, just the thought of it all, it's like we have this idea, and you could tell. Well, and what's something I do appreciate about them is they're in the midst of something. If something's not worked, they will try and amp it up. This time, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Right. I mean, they're sitting there with fruits and vegetables and this and that, and then somene's like, fuck it, let's throw a couch.
Right.
Which is kind of funny because it's just like, who gives a fuck, man? Let's just throw anything in there. But it's still, it was very lackluster. There wasn't really much to it.
Hear me out on this. I think what would have made this a lot better is no hazmat suit for Ryan Dunn. And instead of throwing things that are going to hurt him, like give him goggles, obviously, do it like manure and rotten fish and eggs. You know what I mean? Like make it a gross one instead of a painful one. I think that would have gone a long way, because it was already painful enough looking at how goddamn young Bam Margera looked in this one with no facial hair.
Yeah.
He looks like a goddamn child. And this one, so the whole time we're watching Ryan Dunn get hit with like meat and shit coming out of the shredder, I was like having an existential crisis of realizing that like the idea of seeing someone who you've only known as young and then seeing them once they get old, that's like, that's really fucking creepy because it can't exist. If I watch a movie with Anthony Hopkins when I'm a kid, he's always been at least that old to me. But when you see someone who has never been that old, and then you get that like scratch and sniff effect of like, what's it going to turn out like? And then Dave Anglin turns out looking like a grizzled vet, as you mentioned in the last episode, Jay. It's like, it's scary as shit. I don't know what I'm going to look like 20 years from now. And now I don't want to see it.
You sleep with gloves and a mask and you have like a fucking 3-hour fucking nightly routine putting on creams and fucking essential oils. I'm sure you'll be all right. Look at me, man. I'm already fucking getting haggard.
They really do throw everything in there though in this sketch, and
except the kitchen sink.
Except the kitchen sink. Thanks,
Rogan.
Your Etnies shoe sponsorship, Bam. Don't forget about that. I don't know if it was an Etnies. I also don't really care, but he throws his shoe in there. You guys, I guess you could say he really put his best foot forward there.
Oh, well done, Jay. Well done. That was as good as Chris's camping joke.
Yeah, no, Bam Margera has always been one step ahead of the competition. I think agree on that. It was kind of a clumsy move, but they did always say he had 2 left feet. Ha ha! I'm really keeping you all on your toes here. I got more of these written down. Cut me off, please.
What is this, Saw? We're going to cut feet off now?
Yeah,
if you make one more of these jokes, you're really going to put your foot in your mouth, Jay.
Ooh.
Wow. I'm not even going to try, man. I'm way too dumb for this shit.
Well, I guess we should.
There was a shoe.
You rate this, but if this joke is as long as my penis and penis size can be measured by the size of your feet, or alternatively the length of roughly your wrist to your elbow, which distilled down to a metric measurement into shoe size, then I guess you could call me a size 13, baby. And for this sketch, I give it a solid 3.5 out of 10.
3.5 out of 10. All right, Chris, what are you thinking?
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a little high. I was pretty disappointed in this because there was so much more potential. I'm right there with you, Jay, with a 3.5 out of 10 because I think they could have made it a lot better.
Yeah, honestly, I panicked. I don't know why I said 5. I really didn't mean to say 5 at all. I meant to say like 2 out of 10.
Yeah,
I don't know what. I just kind of like zoned out there for a second.
It's too late. I zone out during most of my conversations with you, so I won't take what you just said personally. Don't worry about it.
Are you kidding me? I can make a fucking change if I want to make a change, all right? I'm going to fucking go back and change the spreadsheet and put fucking 2s on there, everything, because you're the poo
Chris,
guy.
you don't even know how to access the spreadsheet. That's been consistent on this podcast.
I'm not a fucking nerd. What do you want from me? Fucking Excel and Microsoft fucking Windows and
I gotta
shit.
say, Chris, that expression you gave, though, thank you. You just gave Mikey the thumbnail for the YouTube video. Now we don't have to ask you to do that on command like we normally do.
Jeez, I gotta be conscious about that.
That'll work nicely. Oh, I thought the last one was nice. You looked real handsome in the last.
It turned out better than I thought.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely didn't like. I look shit like last episode. I had like 6 of my friends be like, "Yeah, you need a haircut. You're looking a little fucking shitty." I look back at the video, man, and just like the daylight was not doing me well. I woke up right out of bed, but anyways,
you know, you're in a tough state when your enemy is daylight. That's usually what you want. Like that usually makes like natural lighting makes you look good. You're like,
no, it doesn't.
Keep
it
light
shines out
off
on your impurities. I'm like a fucking vampire, bro. I look good at nighttime.
All right, Jay, move us on so we don't have to feel bad about Christopher anymore.
Yeah, I was just going to say you guys are making me want to jump into a lake of leeches, so I think we'll move on here. The skateboard. Yes, a skateboard with hockey skates, eh?
I want one of these so bad, man. It looks so fucking awesome.
The best interstitial Bam's ever done. This one's fucking awesome.
Yeah, short and sweet, too. There's not much to it, but it does segue into our next one, which takes place at the old hockey rink. I don't know if I want to continue detailing the segment or if we want to break out into Stompin' Tom Connor's The Good Old Hockey Game at this moment in time, but it's up to you boys.
Okay,
that's a no. I'll take that as a
no.
I think that's a no. Nobody wants to hear that. Listen, barrel jumping. In barrel jumping, it's just fucking skates on and trying to see how many they can jump and set a record. This does feature Andrew WK demo tapes. Like it's like a older version of track number 2 on I Get Wet, I believe is the name of the album. But
very important information to our viewers. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it is. Go listen to that. Andrew WK is the
I have a fact. I'm Jay.
It's better than your fucking fact, Mr. fucking Balrog turned 34 this year, whatever the fuck. I just realized somewhere in the no man's land of my brain, I have tied together Chris Pontius and Andrew WK as being like the 2 handsome men in the same category. And like when I see one, I somehow think of the other. And I think this has subconsciously been going on for several years.
Oh,
I
wow.
think you would both agree there's something rustic and freeing about their physiques and their overall appearance that just...
I can see it. I feel like, well, listen, Andrew WK has a lot of songs about partying. Chris Pontius is Party Boy, so maybe that's where it comes from.
It's like it's one of those fucking alter egos is what it is. But anyway, they set a record. I think they jumped like 7 barrels or something while I was going off there. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, there's not much to it.
Well, I wanted to touch on something. Sorry, Mikey, go ahead. You got ahead of me there.
No, I think you were kind of. You can't tell me to go and then start talking. What are you doing?
Do you know what it is? It's because I wanted to play you into this because this is kind of relevant to like what you are.
All right, so Chris, I'll say you go first.
Okay, so Ryan
here's
Dunn
what
over
I'm thinking.
here.
I think if it, you see how that feels. You see how that feels, Chris. It's not very good, is it?
It's really not. No, but Mikey, I wanted to ask you about this because as we've been doing these episodes, the Ryan Dunn thing, you started off harsh on him and it started coming around. And to me, this is like really exemplary of Dunn really he's definitely grown into himself now. He was funny with it. The old Dunn would have quit after 1 maybe or do something like that. He falls on like the second one. He goes, 3's my lucky number. Let me go to 4. You know what I mean? He goes from 2 to 4. He kept committing to all this stuff. I just really liked seeing him embrace a stunt opposed to like doing that thing where he'd kind of pretend he was hurt and try and max it that way. He's just really trying to push the boundaries. Did you kind of have the same feeling?
Dude, 100%. And, in the preamble before we started recording, I know, Jay, you kind of mentioned, you're like, I don't know, in the barrel jump like that one. I really liked this one. Yeah. And I really liked it.
Yeah, me too.
In the same way that I liked a lot of the season 1 Jackass stunts only because of Johnny being Johnny and using his charisma to bring the stunt into another level. That's Ryan in this one. That line, Chris, of like, he falls on 3 barrels and he says, 3's my unlucky number, give me 4, is fucking great. That's so funny. And he keeps on doing it. He takes a couple shots. He's not complaining. In fact, he's kind of embracing it. And he just keeps going more and more. And one of the best things about it, too, is you see him failing completely. And then that's compared to Dave Carney, who's the professional skater, whoever the fuck he is. Is he like a professional barrel jumper on skates or something like that? I don't know why.
They should have got Elvis Stoigo.
They should have. They should have just called him. I know him and Johnny are good friends.
No.
But then it goes from like that set piece. They fuck Dave over by adding another barrel when he doesn't know it's supposed to be there, which seems really dangerous. And then it devolves into chaos and everyone's throwing barrels at one another. And I fucking loved it. I didn't think I was going to like this one in the beginning, and I ended up really enjoying it.
Barrels of fun.
If you guys don't mind, maybe I'll go into my review of this one because I think this one warrants it. And
let's do it. You're
probably going to hate me for this, but I actually had a pretty good time with it. I think it could have been maybe a little bit better, but here's one of the metrics I want to use to measure this one is they took a very simple, probably stupid concept and made it a lot more enjoyable. And I think there's a lot of creativity in that. And I love when charisma shines through. I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with it.
Jay, how about you?
Yeah, like I said, it was all right. It wasn't one of my favorite things ever, but I appreciate that it devolves into chaos at the end, and the boys are just being boys and having fun and doing their thing. And yeah, I think that's the best way to like end something like this. Just total, because that's what you'd want to do is just turn it into a fucking barrel fight. So overall, though, not one of my favorite things of all time, but I'll give it a solid 5 just for being like an average all around kind of stunt.
Nice. Chris?
I'm going with a 7 out of 10. If this was in an episode with a lot better stuff, it might be a little bit lower, but this was honestly one of the more enjoyable parts of this entire episode I had a lot of fun with it. It's fun to see people on skates, and a 7 out of 10 for me.
I agree.
Nice.
I like that. That's nice.
And hey, everything was going great. We're having a good time. Nobody was getting hurt. Well, not too bad anyway, until the next one, the Stilt Fall with Steve-O. If you're going to fall from that high up, you better hope some people, innocent bystanders on the street are going to be, caring and attentive and willing to help you. Apparently, this isn't the case here, wherever Steve-O is. One thing that I noticed that was a common theme in this one, because it's kind of one of these pull a reaction out of the crowd kind of stunts where he goes and he does a bail and like people are going to run to his aid. But it seemed like just about every time it took a solid 30 seconds before anyone actually went, oh, did that dude on the stilts over there and the American flag just fall over? Yeah, we should probably go check and see if he's all right.
Well, especially because like I think the best part about it is they learn after the first one that the best reactions you're going to get are involved in convincing someone that they're the reason why he fell. And that's why no one wants to help him out, because like this is America. People get sued for a lot less. People get sued for having hot coffee. I mean, like everyone there is just like, did I cause this guy to fall? And one guy on the bike kind of like watches Steve-O fall, looks around as though he's expecting there to be witnesses, and fucking drives away as though nothing happened. And I'm like, he is my true American. Never mind Abe Lincoln. Never mind Leech Beard. That guy is my true American hero.
I love the lady. She had this look of such joy on her face as she's walking in between his legs. And then she bails, and just this look of panic kind of came over her. Exactly what you're saying is when people kind of all of a sudden feel like it's their fault, even if they didn't touch them, they would think it had something to do with them. That definitely drew a lot to this. And just one time in my life, I just love to see someone just naturally in the wild fall off stilts. And I would steal their fucking pants because I love stilt pants.
You wouldn't antique them on the ground?
No, of course not. I just would steal their pants.
That was a nice button on this one, was Wee Man running out. But I want you guys to put yourself in the point of view of someone who is, listen, maybe you got to run to the bank, all right? The bank's closing. You're on your way. You're in a hurry. A guy on stilts comes by and asks you to walk under his legs. Sure, you're going to do it because he's probably unhinged. You do it. He falls. You're looking around like it's your fault. Like, are you going to go to jail? And then all of a sudden, a little person runs out of the fucking bushes and throws powder in his face. Like, you haven't processed the fact that there's a guy on stilts in the wild. And now all of a sudden, there's a little guy throwing powder in his face while he lays on the ground incapacitated. The range of emotions pre-TikTok, like pre the algorithm seeping all of our synapses from us, or all of our like just taking all of our attention, you wouldn't know how to cope with this. So good on them for not immediately losing their minds.
Wait, what?
Oh, were you paying attention to something on TikTok there, Jay?
Yeah, no, I think I need to go and get some more of those synapses you were talking about, or whatever those are. Where can you pick up
Mikey just broke down like the greatest breakdown ever. Both of us are like, what did he say?
Yeah. You're like, he said more than 4 words in a row. I think I need to go pay attention to something else.
I was just lost in a daydream of stilt pants.
Well, Chris, why don't you stop shutting up and give this one a rating out of 10? This one feels worth rating.
Yeah, I'm going to 6.9 out of 10.
Nice.
It was fun. We've seen it before, but again, like this episode in general is a little lackluster, so everything's kind of getting bumped up a little bit just because there isn't much to draw comparison to. 6.9 out of 10.
Nice. Jay, what about you?
I would say it was fun. Like, I like the concept more than I think I like the stunt is a problem, because I like these things where they try to pull a reaction out of people and try to like fucking, catch people off guard in public. But unfortunately, there was just something missing about it. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because maybe some of the shots, like the camera was positioned really far back, and I think sometimes it was kind of hard to tell exactly what was happening. So yeah, maybe if the execution was a little better, it would have been a little higher, but I'd probably just go with like a 4.5 out of 10 on that one.
I think that's fair. I don't know if I expected more from it. I like that there was a prank element to it, but ultimately I do think it fell a little bit flat. I'm going to be a bit more kind to it and give it a 5.5 because of the absurdity of that last bit with Steve-O getting antiqued on the ground. 5.5 for me.
Nice. And yeah, I mean, I can't believe it, but these episodes, they go by fast when you're not in full-on movie format or what have you. We're already at the end here. And actually, you know what? My notes are at the bottom of the page, so I'm fucking in the wrong spot. And that would explain that. Sorry, guys. We are not near the end.
You're acting like Knoxville getting hit by a bull at the age of 50 or whatever old he is.
I fucking feel like it right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this next one that came after was the urban sledding. So that's Knoxville and Cossack. Again, I like the execution of the idea, but in execution, it's not quite what I had imagined. But it is funny to just see them laughing at their own stupidity, because they sled down a road. They got these red plastic boards, and they're basically just having a fun time. There's this moment where they get halfway down the hill and they decide, hey, let's try it down steps now. And it looks like Rick Cossack is so enthralled with the concept of going down the steps that he just falls backwards in the middle of the street.
You could tell he bailed pretty quick. And he says it hurt, and I'm sure it did because it's concrete and you're rolling on it, and he's probably not used to taking a tumble. But I love the kind of sketch where Johnny is paired up against someone else. The other person is hurt and thinks that it's over, and Johnny gets back up and says, let's go do it again, even though Johnny had a harder tumble. That always makes me feel really good, and I'm glad we saw some of that at least in this, even though it wasn't that hardcore. I
always wanted to know, like, do you think when they, that the little warning comes up, it says this street's been closed for filming or something like that? Do you think they don't actually close it and they just put it there? Like, imagine the process and the money and the permits it would take to close the street for a little while. I have a feeling that's just all bullshit and they just put it there because they have to.
Yeah, just to reduce any potential liability. I'm sure sometimes they do. But
sometimes I'm sure
definitely
they do, but most of the time, exactly.
They probably just have like fucking Rick Cossack at the top of the street, just like holding out a stop sign or something like that, and they're calling that closing it. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Good enough. And I think, with this one, there's not a whole lot more that I could say. I don't know if you guys.
I think we move on from that one. We bail on this one like Cossack at the start of the hill.
There you have it. Extreme Jacuzzi is up next, and this is filling the hole that the movie left. Well, slightly, because we get a little bit of that party boy music. Some party boy dancing, and man, that was kind of nice just to hear that again. It's been a while.
It was nice to hear that, and it was nice to see, like, everybody was in that jacuzzi. And when they're just doing that pan across, you see this guy. Wee Man's just completely underwater, which was a nice little addition to it. But it was just nice to just see, like, everybody together. I feel like we're missing that a little bit these days, and the nostalgia kicks in.
It felt like they were leading up to more, especially calling it Extreme Jacuzzi. And all you really get is like Steve-O going through a stack of chairs, but it looked like they were building up to like a game or something. You mentioned, though, Jay, Pontius in this one. And this is back in that era, and we saw a little bit of this towards the end of season 2, where like with Pontius's haircut, like this is the worst version of Pontius. He looks really douchey. He looks like, okay, do you guys think at some point in this season he's going to wear a puka shell necklace? Because he seems really fucking close to putting one on. And I'm on puka watch. I'm on puka watch at this point. I think by the end of the season, we're going to see him wearing one. Either a puka or a shark neck necklace or shark necklace. Why do you hate on
puka shell so much? Is it because I looked so cool when I had mine back in the day when we were on vacation? You were jealous I was picking up all the girls?
That's probably it. That's probably it. You know what? Good on you for picking up a girl in spite of the fact that you had a puka shell necklace on, because God knows
when you got game, baby.
Hey, it worked for Lisa Simpson, all right? That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah, that's a good episode.
She was never cooler. Did you guys get a sense of, like, when they were doing the pan, like the circular shot in this, like, cameraman in the center of the hot tub showing off all the crew members? This was that 70s show, except instead of
a little bit
marijuana, they were just sharing a hot tub full of farts.
It felt like it.
It kind of reminded me of that. I haven't seen a shot like that in a long time, and that's where my brain went. So there you go.
That's a good pickup.
Good pickup. We get the origin of Plugs, aka Ryan Dunn, up next.
Plugs, baby.
This is the stupidest fucking thing, but Bam is operating a drill, and he plugs the cord of the drill into Ryan Dunn's nostrils. So there you go.
I just like the fact
magic, man.
It is mad. He's fucking, never mind Bam. Call that guy David Copperfield, because that was pretty impressive. I'm just glad that they brought back Plugs, because I thought the only reference to Ryan Dunn's name being Plugs was in like season 1, episode 1 of Jackass when we saw that. But no,
it would have almost been better if they didn't, because it was just like as if it never happened. But it is kind of, it is kind of cool they bring it back. So they must have for a while at least called him Plugs.
You know what's weird is that Ryan Dunn being Plugs, there's he tried to plug his own erect penis into his butthole. Did you ever see Haggard?
No,
I did a long time ago. I saw it a long time ago, but there's a pretty cruddy quality version.
Oh, it's bad. I thought you meant the movie, but yeah, it's not a great movie. Sorry, Bam Margera. I believe he directed it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there's a scene in there of Ryan Dunn, and like someone tells him to fuck himself, and he literally goes home after that. And then the next scene, he's trying to bend his wiener into his butt. It was a weird movie. Go watch Haggard. Jesus. Maybe we'll watch it one day. I don't know. There you go. Plugs. Maybe that could be the fucking origin. Oof. I'm stretching. just like Ryan Dunn.
Maybe we'll have to watch that one on this podcast. If you want it, hit us up at Jackass Pod on all our socials.
Yeah, that's like some fucking C-grade Jackass content right there for you folks. The Idiot launch is up next. It's a big old teeter-totter, which Johnny Knoxville does wrong, and it looks like he crushes his ankle in there or something pretty hard. But they launch Steve-O, who's on the other side, into the water. He does a nice backflip here, too.
Mm-hmm. You know what? This one I liked because they probably thought it was going to be about the person getting launched, and it kind of ended up being about everyone but. You know, like you mentioned, Johnny gets injured because two people jump on the teeter-totter that's supposed to send Steve-O flying, but Johnny probably rolls his ankle or something, probably fractures his tibia or something like that and walks away with it because that's just what Johnny does. But what I love is the chaos that ensues afterwards. It's almost like a scene out of Arrested Development or something like that, where it's like you blink and you miss it. Like Steve-O snot rockets on the camera, and then that sets up like 30 seconds later when the cameraman walks up to Johnny Knoxville and like wipes off the camera using his shirt. I was like, that's kind of fun. You know, he didn't get a ton else out of this sketch, but I liked the little piecing together like a Rube Goldberg machine of pranks and stunts and mishaps.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty short and sweet one. And so is this next one, actually.
Yeah, this one was weird, man.
Yeah, Phil Margera, Elvis is here again. And the funny thing is he's putting on this Elvis costume. Not sure what the occasion is, but Ape is dressing him. And he finally gets into that, and he's looking pretty good when he's fitting in there. But he's, kicking around. He's doing his Phil kicks. He's dancing. And before I even know it, oh, fuck. Dave is here doing the omelet. It's a hard cut to Dave England doing the omelet. It was such an exciting thing that I almost forgot. Like, I was writing something about Phil, and I just stopped writing and wrote, oh, fuck, Dave's doing the omelet now. So I think this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The omelet is no ordinary omelet. Yeah, everybody but Chris. He's already starting to.
He's already starting to gag a little bit.
This is a puke omelet, after all. Dave England is here, unscathed, I must say too. He's very boy-like in terms of how much PTSD he has accrued at this point.
Jay,
in time.
I have the same note. Can we take a minute to talk about how concerned I am actually for Dave England as a human being? Because remember, especially like season 1 of Jackass, Dave is like this, like you mentioned, boyish. He just has this charisma and energy to him. And then as the seasons go on, his face just turns into more and more of a permanent cry, just like always tearing up and always anxious. He was so energetic and funny and bubbly in this one, as he was in the first 2 seasons of Jackass as well. Something happens to this guy around the time of, I think, Jackass 2, the movie. And it's nice to see him before his life was taken away from him.
Yeah, Jay, when you said he has PSTD, like I didn't like quite understand when you were making that reference at the beginning. Like I thought maybe to his outfit, and ever since you said that, he clearly has some form of PSTD from all this PTSD from all this stuff going on. So that was a really good pickup on you.
Yeah, I'm not his doctor. I don't know his sexual history, but yes, I see where you were going though, Chris, with like. The whole STD thing, because really the stress he's accrued from the abuse over the years, it's kind of like the STD of the soul is really what that is.
Good save. I literally just fucking butchered my fucking numbers or letters, but no, thanks for letting me feel like I'm a brave guy. And
I'm sorry.
Man, my mind's not working. I can't even talk right now. I feel like fucking Ricky from Trailer Park Boys.
Look, I think there were like a fucking handful of Rickies right now. I feel the same way, my friend. We need to take this out and finish this like. We got to give it some credit, because credit is certainly due here. I mean, like, this isn't something that. I mean, out of everything we've seen in this episode, this is definitely the most memorable. And I think, like, if you want to say what was the most next level Jackass stunt in terms of they're starting to get more creative, they're starting to take it to another level rather than just riding shit down a hill or stairs or whatever, they really put some thought in here. So Dave's going to eat all the ingredients to make an omelet, and then he's going to proceed to puke it into a hot skillet and cook the omelet and fucking eat it again.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's the worst thing ever.
Guys, this is fucking art. I say this every so often in Jackass. This is art. And one of the reasons I think this one works so well is, you have something like the pea snow cone, which is weird, but is kind of parallel to this, where Aaron McGahee pees on the snow cone and then eats it. But there's something about the build up to this one And the way, similar to Ryan Dunn's charisma in the barrel jump, kind of carrying that stunt. In this one, Dave England treating this one with all sincerity as though it's a real cooking show. And he's like, oh, and you got to have the peppers and this and that, and not acting at all. Not even a wink to the camera to suggest that he's pissed off that he's going to have to end up eating this thing makes it so much better. Because there's a part of your mind that's like, wants to believe that all he's doing is like running a cooking show and that's it. And he has that line at one point, which just fucking killed me. Cause he's already kind of like gagging a little bit cause he's just eating like butter and shit. And he's like, got the standard stuff. He's got and then butter, milk, cheese. And he's like, how much cheese do you use? Well, it depends on how much you like cheese. Me, I like it a lot. And just downs a bunch more cheese. It's like,
I thought you were going with the part, like right when he's eating the butter and he eats it and he's about to puke, goes, not yet.
The self-control that guy has, whether it's not diarrheaing or not vomiting, God, he commits to the bit.
Yeah,
this has always been my most feared sketch. Like, this is the one that I saw, and I was like, I don't really ever want to watch this again. This is so disgusting to me. The fact that the guys have like hazmat suits and masks on, the vapor masks or whatever they're called. Like, it just makes me think the smell of puke is bad anyways. But the smell of puke being recooked, like, oh my God.
Oh man.
This shit just freaked me out.
I know. And I was thinking that too when he takes that first bite. It's like, I was thinking to myself, how bad could it actually be? Because I mean, he did cook the ingredients, but you got to factor in that, all that stomach acid is the secret ingredient. And you probably taste that more than anything else. Really.
I think that's it. I mean, I think we can all right now kind of taste, and we can imagine what this would taste like because we've all tasted it coming back up. And the idea of putting it back down is raucous. And you know that because this is one of the rare cases in a stunt where the last man standing is not Johnny Knoxville. Johnny can barely handle this one. And that's always a testament to the just feeling like you got one up on him. Like, you know what I mean? Like that would be like beating Alex Trebek in Jeopardy. Like that's a good feeling. It's not supposed to happen. But you even and he's standing up there and he's keeping his composure. Like as he's vomiting, he's like, he looks to the camera with his eyes watering and he's like, cooking is such a pleasure. Like still keeping that air of like, there's nothing going wrong here. This is just what's supposed to be happening.
Why is Johnny Knoxville in a hazmat suit?
That's a great question.
It adds to all the effects of this entire thing. That's one of the things that freaked me out the most. Like I was mentioning earlier, there's something about seeing that makes your mind believe it's probably worse than it actually even is. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I do love though when he asks Johnny, he's like, smell it, Johnny, come smell it. And Johnny Knoxville's just at a 90-degree angle from the waist, just staring at the ground, like no,
just not able to.
I'm not
in
here.
his hazmat suit. Nothing is enough to protect him from that. You got the poor cameraman off screen, just like you can hear them like and
it must have smelled pretty bad.
Haunts my dreams. And plus, Johnny Knoxville's laugh in this one. I don't know. I've never noticed this before. Maybe it's just in this one because he was also stifling his gag reflex, but it didn't not sound like Mickey Mouse. In fact, it was kind of exactly like Mickey Mouse. And we'll play some of that in the episode maybe, or if you're not watching on YouTube, maybe we'll add that clip to it. But I was kind of amazed. I was like, Johnny's like a giddy little kid in this one. You could tell he was enjoying it as much as he was upset by the whole idea.
It was funny because this is, like I mentioned, this is the sketch that like scares me more than anything. And then, so last night, right before I was watching all this stuff, I always go on like a Pokemon Go walk, like every night for a couple hours, as weird as that sounds.
Can we rewind the tape to the point at which Chris said he's not a nerd?
Dude, Pokemon's not nerdy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, whatever. I had to get gangster last night as well. So
I'm just saying. I don't think you can make that argument with a straight face. I mean, come on.
Pokemon's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, I come back from the walk and there's this crazy guy outside my condo, like yelling and screaming at the security guard. And she's like so nice. She's this like Eastern European lady and she's so tiny, but she's like got some like, some oomph to her. Like she like knows how to like, like she doesn't take any shit.
No, she's built like a regular old Geodude.
Wow. So I'm coming inside the building. She's like, don't let this guy in. He's trying to follow people in. He's trying to break into the building. And I'm like, hey, that's weird. So I go inside and I was about to go up and I'm like, I can't just, it's like 3:34 in the morning. I'm like, can't leave this lady outside by herself with this guy. So I just kind of like hang around a bit. Just, I don't want to go out and like aggravate the situation. But eventually I'm like, I got to at least go make sure that she's all right. So I go outside and he's like freaking out and he's like screaming and yelling all this shit. And then I'm like ready for like a full on like brawl to break out. And just like my adrenaline got so hyped up and I'm getting this huge argument. The guy ended up diffusing the situation and I ended up coming back. But when I got in the elevator, I guess just my nerves just from like getting that, like I had my knife ready to go. Like this was like legitimately, like I thought this was going to be like a full sketchy situation. I get in the elevator and my stomach starts turning. I'm like, what the hell? Come into my room, throw up all over the floor, throw up into the sink. Yeah, seriously. And then right when I turn on, I just finished cleaning it off and then I go to turn on Jackass and this fucking sketch out of all the times I could have watched it came on. Luckily, I got all the puke out before then. I thought for sure it was going to send me over the edge, but I really, I was fucked up.
You must have had to have been thinking, damn, I just wasted a whole omelet. Son of a bitch.
I couldn't even finish watching it, to be completely honest. I got the gist of it, and then I had to turn it off because my stomach was still on the edge.
Well, yeah, what are the odds of that? That's
so weird.
Crazy, man. Wow, what a night. And, you know, I know the omelet is not something that I think ever really gets repeated in Jackass, as far as I remember.
Not this way, no.
Not this way, but it was a good original stunt. I'm glad they did it. And next week is pizza, so I'm looking forward to that. According to Dave England, next week is pizza. So we'll see if they keep the promise. But in the meantime, if we're going to give this a rating, I think I'll just jump right in and say that obviously I've been vocal about it. This was my favorite part. I think it was the highlight. And it's just incredibly original and well thought out. And it's fun to watch. It is definitely... You'll be laughing throughout just because it's so ridiculous. Dave England's a great performer on camera with this kind of improv stuff too, so extra points to him. I will go with a solid 8 out of 10 on this one.
Oh man, that's too low. That's too low. This sucks because I know Chris isn't going to give it a high one either, but I think this is maybe Dave England's best ever. Because of how much he shines, all the creativity, seeing a little weak point in Johnny Knoxville, the fact that there's just straight improv comedy, it grosses you out. People are keeled over. This has just about everything I want there to be in a Jackass sketch. I'm giving this one a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow. Yeah. Chris? I mean, so as much as I hate it, I don't like watching it. I do have to give credit to a certain extent where credit's due. Like everything that Mikey said, Dave England shines in this, how he played into the role very well, the creativity. But I can't personally enjoy it, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 just out of respect for what they're doing.
Okay, so 2 incorrect scores and 1 correct score. Well done. I like it.
Yeah, but that's the end of the episode. So you're going to have to live with that till next week, Mikey. That'll be
I will do my best to live with it, but I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm going to go into my lobby and start a fight with that fucking Geodude ass looking receptionist in my condo. Maybe I'll bring a knife and then come back upstairs and throw up all my anxiety like Chris.
I was waiting for the part of the story where Chris was going to say the guy was yelling so much that he puked, and then they made an omelet out of the puke and started eating it. It just... You caught me
literally
off guard,
going into my sink drain and having to like pluck out the chunks of puke. It was so fucked up, and then having to watch that after. It was not fun at all.
You know, thinking back too, you probably didn't prepare to make an omelet anyway. I mean, it's not like you ate a stick of butter and a green pepper and you don't know much. You don't know much about
Chris's diet. He has to have at least a stick and a half of butter with every meal.
Oh, for sure. You got to like lube it down. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you could make a puke omelet, what would you put in it? Tell us at @JackassPod on Instagram and Twitter.
It's not a bad question.
I guess if that's your thing, make us actually make the best one you can, and if you want, do one of those like 30-second Instagram videos of you making the omelet with the ingredients and everything, but like do jump cuts and fast forward and all the stuff. You could list the ingredients on screen. Be great. Art.
I like it. I like this idea.
Make it artsy, make it nice. Add some sparkles. What?
No, just thinking about this episode, I was kind of like, after coming off the movie, I was really hoping for a good episode. And I think the material we had to work with this time, this is one of the weaker Jackass episodes I've seen. So I'm really hoping that next week's episode kind of jacks things back up. It gets back into that good vibe because, it just gives us a little bit more to play with. So I have a feeling it's going to be, like you guys said, it's kind of like when you come back for summer break and you're kind of not all there yet for a bit. So I'm really looking forward to next week because I think it's going to be a good one.
Well, I think that there's also a big contrast between the last time we touched Jackass as a property. You know, we did Viva La Bam, we did WildBoyz, but the last time we touched Jackass was Jackass 2, the movie, which is inarguably the high point of the entire franchise.
That's like very
that
true.
is the greatest movie. We did a 4-part episode of it. That's back in our back catalog if you want to go listen to that or watch it on YouTube. And then the next experience we had was the nostalgia-filled trip that we had watching Jackass Forever. I get why we're going back and watching this one. It would be like, I don't know, watching like a great movie franchise and then going back and watching like the thing that inspired it from the 1940s. And you're like, I don't know if this is actually pretty good. Like this is, sure, it inspired it, but it wasn't the best version of it that we could have gotten.
Man, they sure were racist back then. Could do without all the racism.
I could do without the racism.
Yeah. Could you imagine what would they do in 1940s Jackass? I can't even. What do you even do?
Listen, we got that in like Buster Douglas. Like that's what he did. He'd like hang from a clock tower and shit like that.
Jesus.
Not Buster
I guess
Douglas.
There was that one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jesus. He's like a Charlie Chaplin type. Buster Keaton. Keaton.
Oh.
Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas was like a Jackass person because he fought Mike Tyson with no real reason to do so. Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson would be like if Johnny Knoxville went into the department store with Butterbean and he ended up knocking Butterbean out. That's basically what happened in the story of Buster Douglas.
Well,
cool.
Good. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Let's just go home. I think it's about time we just go home now. It's been fun.
I think some of our listeners already did.
God, oh man, yeah. It's been a long one, boys and girls. I'm with Chris, though. I hope the episodes continue to improve, though, because, yeah, it did feel a little slow in parts, but hey, we got the puke omelet, so at least there was a nice bow on top there. Until next week, and we find out what happens in season number 3, and not season 1, episode 2. We will see you then. Same time as usual. Bye, I'm Jason Wellwood. Bye.
Bye, I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Bye, I'm Mikey Aaronworth. And this has been Jackass.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it!
This was a Press X for Sound audio production.